Hey besties, welcome to Cozy Chats. My name is Randy and I'm here to normalize a cozier way to do business for chronically exhausted entrepreneurs. But quickly, before we get into today's episode, I want to extend an invite to all the chronically cozy entrepreneurs out there looking for a community that understands them. I know how isolating it can feel to run a business while managing a chronic illness or neurodivergence, which is why I built the Chronically Cozy community for entrepreneurs where you can share your creations, connect, collaborate, and feel supported. If that sounds like your vibe, we would love to have you. Join us today at chronicallycozylife.com or through the link in my bio. Now, sit back, get cozy, and let's get into today's episode. Hello, besties. Welcome to Cozy Chats. My name is Randy, and today's guest is Gabby Camacho. She is an online business manager running her business, the GC Method, and today she's going to share some of her cozy systems for running a business with a chronic illness. I'm really excited to get into this one. This is a lot of the foundational stuff that if you don't get kind of right off the bat, you have a high chance of getting burnt out. So today we're going to talk about why it is super important to document everything, especially when you're dealing with the brain fog and the neurodivergent brain. How you're going to schedule around some fluctuating energy, and how to design your services and your client agreements to account for that fluctuating energy as well, which is something that is just absolutely not talked about often enough. So, Gabby, thank you so much for being here. Hello, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be doing this and hopefully spreading some knowledge that other chronically cozy people can use.
Yes, that is the whole point. That is my big reason for wanting to start this, because so much of us have to figure it out for ourselves, right? Because there's not a lot of systems out there designed for us. So we have to figure it out ourselves, and then if possible, share as much of it so that we don't, so that not everyone has to burn themselves out. So hopefully we can help prevent a few people from getting stuck in that. So let's start by telling me your story. How'd you get into doing what you do?
Yeah, so a funny or a fun fact is usually when people ask me about my story, they get the condensed version of the chronically ill part, and I focus on oh my God, I was a go-getter, and I never quit, and that's how I got where I am. But the real story that I feel like your podcast would appreciate is it literally has all stemmed from me having diseases and literally having so many oh shit moments that I had to get creative and think, well, what can I do within my bandwidth? So I have a lot of things going on like most of us do. We don't really have just one thing. So my first inaugural thing was I have endometriosis, and I knew I'd had it since I was 14. And so that's how long ago, we're talking. I have just always been sick. And when I was 17, I got the laparoscopy that diagnosed the endometriosis, which was great. I started college about 6 months later because it was in the winter time, and then you graduate high school and then you go up to college. And I had an IUD put in, and I was supposed to go on this hormone medication. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And long story short, with that section is I dropped out after the first semester because the pain was so severe. I was bedbound for 6 months. I got put on a breast cancer medication because the inflammation was so bad that my doctor was like, we need to target your actual hormones. And so during that 6 months, I was in school. I didn't have a job yet. I was 17, 18, and I was so depressed. I just wanted to get out of bed and I could not. It was so defeating. And so I gave in. I ended up going on that medication she told me to go on, and it helped enough where I could get a part-time job. And I'm talking super part-time. So I did that, and I had this aha moment of, okay, just because I'm not getting educated doesn't mean I can't educate myself. I can still find meaning in a part-time shoe store. And I did. I learned counting money really fast. I learned sales. I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to like organize things, a lot of basics that you need to learn somewhere. And then I kind of got this itch to do more. And so I kept changing different retail jobs. And I'm from New York, and that's what I did there. Then I moved to Florida with my mom because she wanted to go there. And I just decided, okay, no more retail. I'm going to do office. And so I lived in Florida for 8 years. I started as a receptionist. And by the time I was a basic office admin, my thing number two came up. And I started having these like dizzy spells and brain fog, and the endometriosis is virtually gone. There's no pain. So I'm just living life. And then all of a sudden, I'm like waking up and falling on the floor. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't come into work today. So I left a lot of jobs because what would happen is they would like catch on, so to speak, that I had these flare ups that I didn't know what they were. And I started getting labeled like very unreliable. And so even though I was moving up, I was also secretly just trying to escape because I'm like, oh my God, now they're going to fire me. And I did get fired from a hospital job just because of their policy. Like I just called out X amount of times and I had to get fired. So through all of that, I got diagnosed with POTS. And so I have endometriosis on top of that. I also have IBS and like chronic migraines, a whole bunch of that. Through all of that and always calling out, I had to learn really fast. How can I get the most amount of work done in a short amount of time so that my bosses are thinking I'm putting 8 hours level of work when my
Yeah.
body could only do 2 or 3. So that's really the foundation of how I ended up where I'm at now, where I ended up getting myself up to the level of a project coordinator. And I also went back to school online and got my bachelor's degree in human services. And so that combo gave me the
The human
confidence to,
services as well.
you really?
Yeah.
Oh my
You
God.
don't meet a lot of other people who do. So I do. Yeah.
Okay. So you literally know how that's so applicable to everything. So
Yeah.
like with that, plus all of my corporate experience, knowing a ton of different bosses, I got the confidence boost to open my own business where I was theoretically, when I opened, going to be doing exactly what I do, but on my own time. And it actually morphed into me doing so much more that I didn't know I was capable of because now there's no like glass ceiling for me to break. It's just limitless. And that's where I'm at now.
That's so awesome. I love it. And that's like, you'd rather not have it, but like without the chronic illness, like you wouldn't have gained all the skills and you wouldn't
Yeah,
have from the things. You might have just stayed at one thing because, it was easy and you were doing the things. Like I
exactly.
always think
I'm
about that. I'm
so,
like, what I mean, like I would go for not. I would rather find out what what life
yeah,
would be if
yeah.
I wasn't chronically ill. Um, yeah, I don't want to be neurotypical, to be honest. Actually, I think they're
That
really
too. I
boring
have
and
like
they're kind of
super
broken.
bad
Um,
ADHD and OCD. So we can add that too.
because obviously, because obviously we add in all of them. We always get the whole alphabet.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it makes sense that once one system starts breaking down, they all are going to just start to come with it.
It's so interconnected. I mean, like it's hard to be neurodivergent and chronically ill and just a woman. Like there's all these things that go into it. And like half the time I don't even care to like tell people like my laundry list because I'm like, it just makes me who I am. So like who are you without the labels?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I go by the labels a lot now, but only because I make all the connections because of it. Like that is
It's
the
true.
connecting point. Otherwise, I don't think I would as much. Um, but yeah, and it's like there's not enough talked about how many extra skills we as chronically ill people have to learn. Like not only do we have to learn how to adapt so many things from like the traditional systems, but we also have to learn how to manage a whole bunch of different moving pieces that a lot of people don't deal with. having to deal with making that constant adjustment into different phases a lot faster than most people do. Like, by the time I finally stopped looking for jobs and just like started working for myself, like, I don't even know how many jobs I've worked in my life. I've
I know, I'm the
collected
same.
so many random skills that, like, every once in a while I'm like, wait, how do I know how to do that? And that was pretty much like my first online business was as a virtual personal trainer. And so I had all of the like training and everything to do fitness, but nothing really to do business. So I had to teach myself all of that as well. Like, and it's a lot because then you have to also go back, adapt it to everything else. And it's
Again,
always like that whole cycle of things, right? Like I mean, we benefit from it.
we do. I
Would
mean,
I
I
rather
think,
not? I'd rather
yeah,
not.
I
But do
think
we benefit from it?
you
Absolutely.
benefit because you don't have a choice. Like
Yeah.
when you're actually in our shoes,
Mhm.
we've all been through that super depressive stage of why me? Why now? What, just constantly questioning. And I think it's totally valid and it's a whole part of the process of acceptance. But then you reach this point where you're like, okay, but I don't want to stay there. So
Yeah.
how could I take the shittiest of cards and
Yeah.
still make something out of it? And I feel like that's why a lot of people that have like illnesses, we have this such unique point of view. Like we're funny and we like to have a good time and we have these great
Yes.
talents. Yeah. It's just, it looks a little different than someone who doesn't have our issues. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
could
most
talk.
people don't get my humor, but I'm
Yeah.
hilarious.
Oh my God. My husband has such a dark sense of humor. And like, it's so funny because, so part of what the POTS that which is why it was so hard to diagnose, was that, so it's when your heart like races and it deals with, fainting and the blood pressure volume, all that science stuff. But in a nutshell, all your blood's rushing to your heart so that it can keep pumping. And so my legs would essentially like spasm or lock up. And there's a running joke in my family now that it's either I'm like a scarecrow or a robot because I'm so stiff. And so he'd make fun of me in a loving way. Like if I was crying and I was upset, he's like, "Oh, come on, you robot. Like, come like, your way."
My husband and I have, like, the ongoing joke of, just, like, how you always get, like, the stupidest advice. Like,
Yeah.
try drinking water. Have you tried stretching? Like,
Or
so, like,
yoga.
every time we complain about something, we'll give each other the stupid advice. And
Yeah.
it's actually usually what we probably needed. We probably did need to get up and move or drink some water. But,
We're the
like, we
same
always
way.
say it like, "Have you tried drinking water?"
Yes. Oh my God. Half the time, my husband looks at me. So I'm on the couch. This is like my office, my bed, my happy place. This is my one spot. As you probably know, we all have one. And so I'm here, and my kitchen is like just that way to the right. And so I'll just say whatever I'm feeling, and he'll look at me. He's like, I think it's just anxiety. And I'm like, you're right. It is. He's like, I think that you just need to lose weight. And I'm like, you're right.
Have
I do.
have you tried
And then we
sleeping
just,
more?
yeah, and we just crack up. And then because I'm still
So
me,
funny and all stupid advice I've actually gotten recently.
really? Like act like
Oh my gosh,
serious.
so my most recent, I was talking to my doctor about my loss of appetite, after going on ADHD medication, and she said her brilliant advice was, "Try eating."
Oh, yeah. I don't know why you didn't do that.
I mean, like, I should have thought of myself, but, I mean, I don't have the education she has, so,
Well,
obviously,
that's
I
the other thing. You don't know anything. You like, there's no way that you know your body best. There's no way that you're your own expert and that maybe, you have
yeah.
other things going on, so you might present differently. Like, just none of that's an option.
Yeah. No, my doctor right now is pretty good. She listens to me and she gets the tests needed and the medications needed and everything. But at the same time, there's always this base level of like, I still just like, you're just a doctor. You're just another one of the doctors. You're just a slightly like more proactive one. But I do have to keep reminding myself that I, in fact, know more than you. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and they don't like that. They don't.
and to not be offended. I try to look at it the same way, like, you know, you wouldn't be offended when a really stupid person says the wrong thing.
Mhm.
'Cause, you know, you're like, oh, they're really stupid. Doctors, they just don't know. They just don't know what it is to be you. They couldn't possibly. So I just try not to get offended by it and remind myself that I'm just smarter than them, and
I love the confidence. I would say I'm almost
it's
there, but
literally
not.
the only thing getting me through these days.
You're like, "I'm smarter. That's all that
I have
matters."
a fake level of audacity, that I believe can only be achieved with a undiagnosed ADHD combination, where you just literally question everything and also do not care to follow anybody's instructions anywhere.
I lack that last part. I will follow. So I have the first part, and then I'm
I'm
like, "What do you want
happy to
me to
follow
do?"
if it makes sense. I had to ask 50 questions first to make sure, though, that it made sense. And if it didn't, I didn't care whether it was a rule or not. I was probably just not going to.
I love that. Oh my
It's
god.
never, I mean, you know, there's been, again, ups and downs to it. It's a good level of confidence that's both gotten me in a lot of trouble and also it's gotten me a lot of things that I needed. So.
It got you places that you couldn't have gotten without doing it.
Exactly, exactly. So let's get into some of the systems. So, as an online business manager, you set up systems for other people?
Yes, so
Yeah.
I can set them up and or maintain them. So sometimes, a lot of who I work with, my favorite people to work with, my ideal client are the neurodivergent, chronically ill, women, disabled, he, she, theys, all of the ones that I say tend to be underrepresented
Mhm.
because, I find that as someone who is so many of those things, I've had to, like we discussed earlier, like you just have to do it or not. And so there's a lot of boots to the ground development that I feel like these kinds of people have where they're really smart and they're really good at making a little bit go a long way. And so what I find is a lot of times these people have systems and they don't necessarily need me to create it, but more so go in and refine it and then keep watch of it and maybe streamline it. So there is the sometimes person who doesn't have anything, and that's almost easier because we're starting from scratch. It's, yeah, just tell me what you want. I know exactly how to do it. But the majority is you're a really smart, really organized, really intuitive person because you're running a business. You've made money. You are successful. Clearly, what you do works. I just want to make it work better so that you can achieve your next goal of it's working, but I want more money. It's working, but I want more client. It's working, but I want to hire an employee. It's working, but I want to open a storefront. There's
Yeah.
another goal that you want to achieve that you just can't yet because what worked then doesn't work now. And so that's where I come in and I evaluate. So what has been working? And then take pieces of it that are like, this is fantastic. Let's actually expand on this. Or, I'm not really seeing any sort of tracking system. We need to implement that and it'll change your life. So I really like to go in and customize with like an audit of where are you at, not a one sheet reference that you look at and I say, you pick where you're at and we'll just pick up. It's like everyone's in a different spot. Everyone has a different condition, a different business, a different strength. And I love to first ask all the questions and the whys and figure out what system you do have and then build on that.
I love that. And like, I feel like so many of us, especially the neurodivergent of us, we get into that state because most of us are usually really good at planning or doing.
Yes.
And I think that that's one of the things that trips a lot of us up because you would assume that if you're good at planning, why would you not be good at doing? But they're
Yeah,
actually two
two
entirely
separate
different
things.
skills. This took me a long time to figure out, and then like even longer to accept because I was still like, no, if I can plan it, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I am super good at making the plans, but then like there's always a point when it comes to like the follow through of it.
Yeah,
That's where I get tripped up. So
I
that
actually
I can see how that's just like the best to come into and help figure out.
I love that you brought that up because the funniest part about me figuring out what this business I was going to open stemmed from the fact that I also love planning and I don't really like doing. And so for the longest time, I've been like, I want to open a business. I just don't know what to do it for. Like in my head, I was like, I know how to run it. I just need someone to give me an idea. And I spent so long trying to like find a partner and find an idea or something until one of my friends was like, girl, what you do is a whole job. You can let other people have all their ideas, be the creative and be the salesperson. And all you need to do is the same thing over and over, which is just help them plan, execute, and implement. And I was like, oh
Yes.
my God, that's my superpower. I love the planning.
Yeah. I did the same thing essentially with like content strategy. I
Yes.
like coming in and helping them like make the plan and figure out the steps that they're going to take and how they're going to implement it and make it all work for them. It's, I love making those plans so much. I don't really care to follow through in all of it. So I really just want to like make all these plans for people.
Well, that's what my job is. I have a bunch of clients that I'm just making plans for.
Yeah,
And then I meet them and I go, so where are you? Did you do it? Why not? And it's the best.
yeah. I'm constantly like, hey, I don't want to do these things for myself. I want to do them for
No,
you instead. So
I can be the
come
biggest
yeah.
hypocrite. I am like the biggest advocate for a CRM. And for the longest time, I didn't have one. I was just literally writing notes down and crossing them out. And then I was like, I can't be telling people to do this and I don't do it. And so like the doing part, right? So I
Oh,
finally set up my own CRM and obviously what was my reaction? I was like, wow, this is like so helpful. And I was like, wow, I'm my worst client. This is don't be that way.
yeah. Yeah. I am constantly telling people like don't do what I do. My
Yes.
biggest one is that as a cozy business person, I will always tell people to simplify.
Yes.
I am the worst person at simplifying. I do too many things. But at the same time, I also have like, brain that wants to jump around that if I was only doing one thing, I would get so bored. So,
That's what happened to me. I was getting so bored on my job. I got so good at simplifying that I was literally working like 2 hours a day and I was just doing other things. That's how I was able to finish school online because I would spend like 2 hours working and then 6 hours doing schoolwork. And like my job had no idea. And I thought I was I mean, I am so good at multitasking, but I didn't realize the capacity I had to actually be able to balance like
yeah.
whole businesses with entirely different industries and personalities. And it turns out like that's my passion. I love doing the same thing, but for different people. And that's that kind of the ADHD, that like instant gratification and satisfaction of like, I have new projects, but I'm following the same steps each time.
Yeah. So let's talk about you. You were saying documentation and how that
Mhm.
is super important. And I definitely am one of those people who gets told all the time, hey, you should probably write things down. And to which I always respond with,
Yeah, obviously.
obviously I should. But obviously, just writing things down is not the most efficient. So let's talk about why documenting is so important and some of the ways we can make it a little easier.
Yeah. So first, I want to tell everybody that like it's not just you that hates it. Even I hate it. It can seem at the time really redundant to write down what you know because you know it. And that's not really the time that you're preparing for it. You're preparing for the time specifically in the chronic world and the neurodivergent world for the time that you have brain fog or the time that you're trying to be consistent and you're wondering like why am I getting different results every time? And when your brain is just racking itself for that last piece of the puzzle that, like, it's on the tip of your tongue, but you just don't remember. So it's a really hard concept for us to grasp, but you're planning for your future bad days is really why you're documenting. You want to remember in this situation that everything went right. What did I do so I can replicate it every time? And every one of my customers or clients or products, whatever, gets the same experience. And I create a level of consistency and trust between me and whoever I am providing a service to. And then that delves directly into why having a system is important, because when you write down everything you've done, you're building you're forming your building blocks to have a system. If you write down, so for me as an online business manager, I work with clients. So I'm a business to business provider. I want to make sure that I onboard my clients the same way. Well, what does that look like? What's my system for onboarding? On its own, that sounds really daunting. But if I just break it down by typing up or writing down, okay, so from the moment I get a lead to the moment someone signs a contract, what do I do? Literally writing that down is the first step in a process. And then I go, okay, they signed the contract. So what do I do from the contract to the first kickoff meeting? Okay, that's once done. Okay, so now I had my kickoff meeting. What am I going to discuss in the kickoff meeting? How do I want to take my notes or whatever? So now, theoretically, I have how to convert a lead to a client, what to do once they sign the contract, and I already have my first step of how our first conversation is going to go. If I take those three, I just developed a system for onboarding, and it can be that simple. Now, like talking it out, yeah, that sounded great. Doing it, I am not saying is easy. Like, I am not going to lie to you. It's
Yeah.
very annoying. But the
Yeah.
idea of it is what I'm explaining, and why having someone like an OBM can be helpful for if you know your processes and
Hmm.
you know what they need to be, but you can't get it out, or you
Yeah.
just can't organize it.
Or
That's
just
really where I come
can't
in.
figure out.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so writing things down and having, you can call them whatever you want, an SOP or a guide or an employee manual. I could not give two shits about what you call these things. And people get so upset because I'll label it whatever. Whatever works for you. As long as you know what it is and it's in a folder and it's cute and it's together, like, that's what
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah. Doing it your way, like, that is so important, especially for especially for us. It's so important to just find the way that works for you. Let go of the idea that it's not the same way that everybody else is doing it. Blah, blah, blah.
And that's a huge
If it
step.
works, keep doing it.
Yeah, a big reason, especially for my clients that have the ADHD, autism, OCD, like that specific kind of combo, I find that a lot of them, including myself, we don't want to start it unless it's perfect. And the
Mhm.
idea of perfectionism is what gets in the way of you just starting. And so I really try to tear that down and create a level of comfortability and trust between us where I'm like, spell it wrong, have typos, and put indents, or be messy. And then once they get past that, they realize, like, oh my God, now that I got it out of my head, I feel so much better and I have so much more brain space. And
Yeah.
that's when I'm like, yes, yes, girl, that's all we're
Yeah.
going to keep doing.
Just find, like, for me, it was like the first couple times where I actually just put the thing out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I had somebody, it wasn't a coach, but it was like a business friend who's just like, if you don't put it out there, nobody can buy it.
That's true. A hundred
Yeah.
percent.
If I don't put it out there, nobody can buy it. So while I was sitting there finagling with all of these like little things about it, obviously I wasn't making any money, nobody was buying it, and I wasn't helping the clients that I wanted to help. I'm definitely still, like, guilty of doing this a lot and putting things off longer than I should. But I can get out of that a lot easier now by, like, just remembering, if I don't put it out there, nobody can buy it. If nobody buys it, you're not helping anybody.
Oh, yeah. My first business card, I'm trying to sell myself as someone who loves the details. I had the
Yeah.
wrong email.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
And I sat there and I ordered like 200 cards. and I Sharpied them in the same color of my card because it was like a olive green. I got like the most similar shade and I just Sharpied it out and I would give it to people. And I was like, at least it's out there. And I mean, that's like living proof. Like, we're going to mess up. We are never going to get things right 100% of the time, but just do it anyways. Because all the people that got my information, even though I had the wrong email, no one noticed it, first of all. And it still got me out there and I could represent myself. Like, that was worth so much more than crying over the typo and never letting those cards see the light of day.
And
Because I
wasting
paid
our
like
money.
$60 for it.
Yeah. You don't want to waste that.
Exactly. And then I learned my lesson and I double checked my new cards.
And then we learn, and nothing is a mistake until you do it twice. First time, it's a lesson. You didn't know. When you make the mistake twice, it's a mistake.
Yeah, it's
But
okay though.
mistakes also happen, and
They're
brain
necessary.
fog happens, and we miss things, which is why we're writing all the things down. So let's talk about, or let's just kind of like give like a good list of like, what are these things that we should definitely be documenting? What are the things that you see most often that people are missing?
A big one is documenting. So this is kind of like a twofold. So documenting how you want to track your leads of any sort. And then the other half is having somewhere that you're actually documenting the live process of your, like a tracker, whether it's through a CRM, whether it's just on a spreadsheet, somehow having like, okay, I met with Caitlin, John, Adam on this date. I followed up here. That is one way that you should be documenting. And then another way of just in the internal way for you, how do you track, or how do you what's your process for talking to a lead? So do you have a link that you want everyone to have? Do you have a drafted email if you're doing it online? If it's in person, have you practiced your pitch? Write all of that down of like what your purpose is and what you think they should know most of and practice it. And
Yeah.
then what's your process for following up? Do you wait 1 day, 3 days, 5 days? Do you send one follow-up email, two or three, over how long? So having some way to document how you handle incoming business, like potential business, and then tracking, okay, where are we in those potentials? The next important one is going to be for people that are service based, having some sort of project or task tracker, because as much as we think our brains can handle it, it can't. And
Yeah.
if you are, I'm calling out the people that are having all their lists in the emails, like those threads of emails, and the people that are, it's in my head. Those are like giant no-nos. You want to have it written down in one place. I don't care what that place is, but one area where everything's written down of what you need to do. You can go in depth of, like, do I want to color code and have a CRM and have all this stuff? But the bare bones of it is just write down everything somewhere and have it in the same place so that you can track your progress somehow. Um, and then the last one I would say is have documented whatever your biggest thing is. So like my thing is clients. And so my biggest thing is the relationship and how I want to maintain that relationship. So for me, what is my process for that? I need to document
Yeah.
what goes well when I do get a client and when they love me, when I like it's going to vary per industry, which is why it's going to sound vague. But if I use myself as an example, I need to document how I maintain those relationships. Am I
Yeah.
making sure that I have weekly check-ins? Am I sending them our recap notes? Do I only text them or only email or only call? Do they know my hours? Like, documenting whatever your biggest thing that brings in your money and makes you successful, write down what that is so that
Yeah. That's
when
so
you
important.
yourself or you're having a bad day, you look back at it and you're like, okay, did I go through these steps? Oh my gosh, I totally forgot that I always send a follow-up email after a meeting and I spaced and I didn't send it. Okay, let me go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Checklists. Just
Yes.
having checklists.
The
It's so,
checklist.
like, it seems so simple, but, like, we just neglect to make it because we think we'll remember.
Never. You go to sleep and it just starts over.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you wake
But
up in the
yeah,
middle
there's
of the
maybe
night and then you have to write it down. And then that's even worse because now you're not sleeping.
that's exactly it. That's
Yeah.
100%. Those are hugely important and definitely ones that, like, when I was thinking about it, like, those weren't at the top of my mind either.
Yeah.
Um, so those are just super important things that, like, yes, everybody needs to be checking on and making sure you have written down all of your workflows. As much of it as you can automate as possible is
Oh, that's a
nice,
whole
but,
other
like,
thing.
that's a whole other conversation that we are not gonna have today, because we've got other things that we wanted to talk about.
I will say about
So
that. I love
yes,
me a good automation of all of that. Like chef's
yes.
kiss.
I love a good, like, I'm a very, like, I like to do things a little bit more manually, so
Mhm.
I have to, like, automate reminders and automate, like, the process behind it. Because I like to sit down and send my email so that I can add the little bit of personalization
Yep.
to it,
And that
which means
works.
I have to set myself a reminder to send the email, and I do usually have, like, a template or something, 'cause templates are the other thing that you have in there, and that's, like, the other documentation key is having templates for everything so that I can just go grab the main, bit of information, add my personalization, send it off. And then, like, for me, I have to do it that way so that I know it's done. Like, otherwise, I would just, like, not believe that the automation
You
has
didn't
gotten
hit it. You
through.
didn't do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll assume it's not been done, and or I will entirely forget that it has been done.
Yes.
So if I don't physically do it, then out of brain. Um, so yes, documenting all of those things are so, so important. If anybody has anything else to add to that list of things to document, drop them in the comments. And if you don't have a system yet, maybe let us know that you don't have a system and we'll tag Gabby in it. So she,
Yeah.
um, the next thing I wanted to talk about was the scheduling
Mhm.
and working around those fluctuating symptoms, because that is the most frustrating, is just not knowing how we're going to feel every
Yeah.
day. I felt
It's
fine yesterday, does not mean I'm going to feel fine today.
and
I felt
there's no
fine
way.
this morning, which does not mean I'm going to feel fine this afternoon. And trying to plan around that has been one of the bigger hurdles for sure.
It's definitely probably the hardest part, I would say, and my ADHD brain is kind of firing in different directions right now, and I'm like, "Oh my god, you mentioned templates, and then you mentioned automations," and I'm like, "There's so many things to talk about because it's all weaved into just running a business." Um, but a really good segue from the documentation part is like, okay, you wrote it down. How do you stay organized with it? Um, Automations, I love. I'm a big fan of them. And templates also, ways that we can make our day to days easier. And that kind of weaves into scheduling. So there's different methods that people like. The one that's like the worst for ADHD people is the whole time blocking because you time block and then like your ADHD brain looks at it like, okay, I have this space. How do I fill it? And
Yeah,
then you just do that like over and over. And it just, for some weird reason, it doesn't work for me either, but like some odd reason it doesn't work. If you're neurotypical and maybe you're just chronically ill, girl, time blocking is your friend. Make
works
blocks
so well.
of when to work and when to work
Yeah,
out and when to have personal time. It has worked for so many people.
does
If
not
you
work
are
for me.
neurodivergent and you retch at the idea of time blocking,
Yeah.
something that I actually have to give credit to my husband for is taking time blocking, but zooming out. So, time blocking, you're usually looking at a set number of hours in a day and saying, okay, how can I divvy this up to
Hmm.
get things done? And it's too zoomed in, I think, for neurodivergent people. So, what my husband ended up helping me figure out is start off by making a list of all of the things that you would typically do in a week, work wise. So that includes meetings, admin, marketing, like social media posting. If you're really on your shit and doing finances, like bookkeeping, um, just anything work related. And then on top of that, if you have any recurring personal things, so like for those of us that have like physical therapy, okay, I go to physical therapy like twice a week, or I have to go to regular therapy once a week, whatever. Write down those recurrings that are on average what your week would look like. And then from there, try to group them into sections. So try to group it into this is marketing because it's social media. It's me going out to a networking group, or I have a networking online meeting. All of that is marketing. Okay. Can you come up with a section that's now admin, where it's you documenting your processes because you need to do that, where it's you setting up meetings or sending out those follow-up emails on a Monday or a Friday, any admin stuff. Okay. We've got marketing, we've got admin, then we've got maybe your third one, whether it's bookkeeping, socializing in a working way, or product development if you're doing that. So break it up into these specific but vague categories. And then from there, try to figure out on average how your body is, like how many spoons you typically tend to have during the week. We all know it's unpredictable, but we also know, like, okay, I find that I have more energy in the mornings. I think that I'm my best self on a Monday because I rested over the weekend. Deepen yourself and say, if I'm realistic, let me highlight what my week looks like energy wise. From
Mm-hmm.
there, my husband, he for me made it so what mine looked like was I had marketing, networking, and admin. I was doing, I'm very involved in my local networking groups here in Arvada, Colorado. So I'm a part of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm joining the local BNI. I do a lot of in person because I like to support my community. So that was its own category for me. And then my admin of internally managing clients, my client work, and then marketing was my social media. So those are my four categories. Typically for me, I have most of my energy in like bursts. So I have a lot of energy in the morning, but only about like 2 hours. And then I take a nap. And then in the afternoon, I've got another 2 or 3 hours. And then I eat dinner and I may have energy for an hour. And so I know I go like this, but mostly Mondays, I don't really like talking to people. I'm very introverted. I don't want to start the week with someone looking at me. So he took all this information. He goes, okay, babe, Mondays are going to be your admin day. That's when you're going to do all of your follow-up emails, schedule all your meetings, and look at what you need to do for the week and plan it out. You're not going to go to any meetings. You're not going to do any social media, none of it. That's only Monday. Tuesday, because you rested, now you can do networking. This is your day to jam all of the in-person events. Wednesday, since you go up and down, Wednesday you're going to be home and you're only going to do online meetings and try to do social media. Post one day on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Thursday, you're going to do like a mix, like a mishmash of what didn't you finish yet. And then Fridays are, that's up to your body. Can you work today and finish up what you didn't do? Or is it a dud and you just need to rest? And so what that ended up helping me realize is I don't need to time block. I need to think about my week and where I could realistically fit things. So I would
Yeah.
say, like, make your list of what you do in a week, make them into categories, look at the spoons that you typically have, and assign a day to that category so that you don't feel that pressure of, oh my God, it's been 2 hours. I'm supposed to stop the timer and now I'm supposed to eat lunch. Like, it's fine, girl. You're
Yeah,
just,
no, I can't do
you're
that.
doing admin today. So go eat lunch, go take a nap. You have the whole day.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
have found that's really helpful for people because it gives them this flexibility while also giving them just enough structure that they, when they snap back and like the attention span is back on track, they know exactly what they should be doing. But then if they lose track,
Structured flexibility.
yeah,
That's like a really unique skill that I think we develop.
yeah. You have to. And it involves
Not easy
planning.
to explain or teach somebody for sure, but definitely, yeah, the way you need to go. For me, I found that like I had to start assessing my energy like more in the moment. I was like, I've always been a planner person. I love my planner. I love planning out my week, and I was always doing the time blocking. And so now I still use like a time blocking like calendar where I fill in the things that are like, I don't have a choice. They're scheduled. These are like, this is where I have a podcast. This is where I have a, appointment, whatever. Um, and then like each day it's kind of a look at it and be like, I am low today.
Yes.
I can do some admin things,
Yeah.
or, I'm feeling kind of blah, but like I think I can, do some writing.
Yeah. And you just
Or,
do what you
you
can.
wake up and you're like, I have energy. I might as well do some like content and batch a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And I just like, I have this kind of constant running list. And if something doesn't happen on schedule, I really like, it's a hard one, but I've stopped beating myself up for it. It's
Well, you have to. There's just
my own
no.
made up schedule anyways. My boss is kind of a bitch sometimes, but like he's pretty lenient when things don't get done. So, just trying to go with like just to go with the flow.
Yes. Go with the flow.
That's the biggest thing that like I really had to change in my like systems, energy, scheduling, management process. Was just that, what can I do today?
Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to, which for me, why planning ahead a little bit and trying to have a template, it's really what you're creating a template of your own schedule. And if you can listen to that template, that's fantastic. And if you can't, it still helps because you understand what you would have been working on and you can have the ability to then switch things. So
Yeah.
maybe Monday morning, I am feeling so freaking good that I do my admin, but then I go outside and network because I had the energy. So then maybe that means Tuesday I have more free time, which might work because now I'm tired. And so having a general template of your schedule by the day and by the category, I think can be really helpful. But then also zooming in a little bit further. And if you are someone that has a lot of meetings, making sure that you set up like your Calendly or whatever you have in a way that already buffers in your spoons. So what that looks like a lot of times that I tell clients is like, first of all, when you're like setting that schedule of like how long should meetings be and blocks, whatever, you always want to have a buffer time between the meetings. Like I cannot tell you how many times people will have a 1:30 and a 2 and a 2:30 and a 3. And I'm like, number one, you need 30 to an hour. And if your schedule fills up, great, because you're not realistically going to have 12 meetings in a day. I want you to give yourself realistically as much buffer time as you can. Like for me, if you go to book a consultation with me, I think there are 45 minutes, and then I think I have another 45-minute block. So there's only so many in a day. And then that's probably like the number one thing I think if like you
I
have
think,
something that schedules for you, make
yeah.
it work for you the way it
I
actually
have,
works.
I think all of my like, and I realized this because I learned a lesson and was not going to make a mistake again.
Is not, no.
Um, that I went through and I set things so like these things only happen on these days. Like you can only book to, do podcasts with me on Wednesdays because I had it open for all the days because I wanted to be accommodating. But
Yeah.
then I
Okay.
ended up with like 5 podcasts in a week, and I'm like, I just can't do that. Like I have to spread that out.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to change that. And then I changed everything so that like, because all of my, services and like anything I'm going to get on a call with a person for is going to be an intense thing. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of information. I can't do more than those in a day, like more than one of those in a day. Those are big things. And I want to be able to give that person all of the attention if possible. So I changed everything so that only one schedule, like only one meeting could be booked in a day. So
And
yeah,
that's
using those
perfect.
systems to set your boundaries are
Yes.
huge. Yes.
I would definitely say if you're thinking on the mindset of, but what if, screw the what ifs, because if
Don't
someone
do that.
actually does all your what ifs, you're so royally fucked that you are going
Yeah.
to end up canceling and not giving your all. And so I would say instead of saying what if, I would ask you to change your mindset to quality and not quantity. Would you rather have a really good 2 calls with someone that you really want to work with? Or would you rather have 10 calls scheduled, 4 canceled, and then 6 that you weren't really present for because you didn't eat, you didn't pee, and you didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would definitely agree with you. Like, set those boundaries, give yourself time in between meetings, and then also think, what days are you actually available instead of Monday through Friday, 9 to 5? Like, you got to cut that. And it is totally fine because on the other end, people like it if you seem really busy. Then they're like, oh my God, this person knows what they're doing. They're booked all the time. And you're like, honey, I just had time for 2 things today.
Obviously.
Yeah. So it also works on
And
like
I'm really good at boundaries.
exactly. So there's really a win-win, and you should just listen to that.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So important to just do what works for you. And I think
Yes.
that that's the biggest thing that I see changing in the industry as more of us who are chronically ill and neurodivergent are forced into building our own thing. Because as much as, we might enjoy it and it's definitely better suited for us, we've definitely been forced into doing this and forced into adapting to systems that are not built for us. So we're doing our best, and
All you
like
can ask.
these are some of the best things that you can have set up at the start of your business to make sure that everything's going to run really nicely. Gabby,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing all of that. Can you give everybody listening the lowdown on where to find you and how to work with you?
Yeah. So once again, I am Gabby with the GC Method. You can find more information on my services at yourgcmethod.com. That's also my email. It's Gabby at yourgcmethod.com. And from there, you can take a free audit quiz that will personally tell you where you're at in your business in terms of operations and systems and how much help you may or may not need. I also offer a free 45-minute consultation, and my packages with prices are on there because not everyone always gives prices. And I think that's important.
Yes, it's so important. That's, I think, like a conversation for an entire podcast. Thank you again so much for being here. I appreciate it so much. And thank you to everyone who's hung out and listened. And if you enjoyed it and you want to find more, check out chronicallycozylife.com. They're all up there. All of the links are down below. All of Gabby's links are down below as well. If you have some tips to share with the Chronically Cozy community, please reach out and maybe you can be one of our next guests. Thank you for everything. Talk to you next time. Bye, everyone.